All right, ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
All right.
Woo!
Woo! There we go. All right, let's just toss them right there. What up, everybody? We are back with another episode of Let's Talk Snowboarding, and we are back in one of our favorite places here in North Idaho at the Ski Shack. Going to be talking some gear and some of the new products that are be coming out over the next few weeks, and this is episode 1 of Gear Talk. So to my left, we got Rhen Lyden. How's it going, Rhen?
It's going great, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. And we also have to my right his brother, Blake. Blake is new to the podcast, but how's it going, Blake?
Good. Yeah. Excited to hang out and talk with you guys.
Awesome. And your last name, Lyden, as well?
Yes, sir.
Blake Lyden. All right, sweet. First things first, it's early in the morning today, so we're going to start off with salt and get it cracking right now, okay? You guys so Rhen, you've done this before, right?
I have.
Yeah.
Only with you.
Yep. It's a program staple, right? Get the idea.
Don't forget that night in front of the comedy club you hit one as well.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
All right. So basically, Blake, crack it in the middle. Give it a whiff. All right. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
All right.
Woo!
Woo! There we go. All right. Let's just toss them right there on the notebook. All right. Sweet. Well, cool. So, haven't been on the podcast in quite some time. Kind of took the summer off and stuff. So, Rhen, how was your summer? How was dock building and everything out on the lakes?
It was good. Yeah. We were busy. Weather was good. So, yeah, we were out on the water building stuff on the local lakes, Coeur d'Alene Lake, Hayden Lake. Yeah, had a good time. Got some stuff built, but now we're ready to get back in here and sell some skis, I guess, and
Great.
some snowboards.
You get out to any vacations or get camping a little bit?
Yeah, we did a couple camping sessions. We rented a cabin on the lake that we've been doing the last couple years with the family. Take a couple boats out and cruise around for a week on the lake, so that was fun. But yeah, it was a good summer.
Nice. Yeah, it was good weather almost all summer.
Yeah, for the most part it was.
Hardly any rain, so.
Yep, and not as much smoke as we've had in some summers past, so that was good.
So that was. I felt like it was kind of almost a mild summer.
Yeah.
You know, didn't really have much moisture, but didn't really get too hot or anything like that, so that helped us out.
Yeah, we didn't really have that 2-week period of 100 degrees, so that was nice.
Yeah, very nice. And Blake, how was your summer, man?
Good. Yeah. I worked with Rhen this summer. First time kind of going full time working with him on the dock side of things. So it was great. Yeah.
Nice.
Did some camping and had some fun, and yeah, ready to get into the winter season now.
Great. You know, besides working out on the docks, I wanted to ask you guys, what's kind of like your favorite summer activity to kind of keep the blood flow up and the adrenaline going?
Gosh, I mean, for me lately, it's mostly just been kind of hanging with the kids and, riding bikes or rollerblading and stuff like that with the kids, going camping, shooting the BB guns, just all that kind of random stuff like that. I mean, I guess long distance backpacking is one of my favorite things to do, hike in a handful of miles, stay at a lake or something, but I haven't been able to do that as much in the last handful of years. Got a couple hikes in the last couple of years, but not as many as we used to.
Nice. Very cool. And Blake, how about you? Would any activities that you went after this summer?
Yeah, I've been started climbing like I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. So that's been kind of my favorite summer, spring, fall activity over the last 10 years or so. But yeah, also just getting out, like, hiking as much as I can. I'd like to say I'm a mountain biker, but I only rode my bike like twice this year. So
Gotcha.
that was kind of lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy just getting out and doing kind of anything.
What's one of your favorite places in the Pacific Northwest to climb?
Well, Smith Rock is where I kind of learned how to climb over outside of Bend. So that place kind of has a spot in my heart. But to be honest, this park out here in Post Falls, Chameleon, is one of the funnest, like, quickest, easiest places to go climb.
Nice.
And, nowhere near the amount of climbing that somewhere like Smith Rock has, but it's kind of a little gem that's just right over here in our backyard. So I just love getting out there when I can. And, yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, we were talking a little bit before we turned the cameras on and started recording, but you actually lived down in Bend for a while. Since you're new to the podcast, let's kind of talk about how you where you grew up and like your journey through snowboarding. Just a little quick recap before we get into some gear talk.
Yeah. So I grew up here, just north of here in Hayden. My grandmother owns this shop, so I kind of got lucky and was introduced to the ski and snowboard industry pretty much at birth. So, started skiing at a young age and then switched over to snowboarding because that was the cool thing to do when, I was 12 years old or whatever. If you didn't switch to snowboarding, you almost couldn't go to the mountain with your friends in those days. So, yeah, started snowboarding, went to high school here at Lakeland High School and moved out to Bend at about 21 years old, kind of on a whim, and just started working at Mount Bachelor there because I wanted to spend as much time as I could on the snow. And, that turned into a kind of a 10-year mini career at Bachelor and ended up working in the lift operations department. And, yeah, loved it. Got to spend a ton of time on my board while I was there. It was a great experience in my 20s and moved back here kind of 2020. I did a few things, worked up in Alaska, was working here kind of part-time for a couple years. And then last year decided to kind of go full-time with the ski shop and working with Rhen and the dock business. So, spent the last couple years just working in the shop and
nice.
Building docks and, just enjoying life.
Yeah, it's kind of nice having that ebb and flow between winter and summer. You get to do different things and kind of get to switch it up. You guys kind of know what I'm talking about. Being in the shack, pretty much all winter. It probably is nice for you guys to be out in the sun.
Yeah.
Once spring and summer hits.
It is. I mean, I really like working seasonally. I can't imagine working the same thing year round.
Yeah.
For years on end. So it's nice to be able to get outside when the weather's nice and be on the water. And then, when the weather's gnarly around here all winter long, I don't envy the guys that are working construction all winter long around here. It's kind of nice to be able to tap out on construction and get in here to stay warm and wax skis.
Nice, dude. Yeah, it's kind of a tough one.
Right.
Being out in the cold.
Right.
But, getting out to snowboard once in a while too.
Right.
It's always good. Well, cool, guys. So, gear talk. We're going to start it off with, in our first episode here, we're going to talk about some of the cool things that Rhen and Blake have seen. We got a few boots here lined up. Maybe talk a little bit about the step-on craze, lean into that, and just going to talk about some snowboard boots and what we're getting stoked on. So, Rhen, I'll start off with you. You guys, I know a little bit from consuming, media, and then you guys have been nice enough to, let me sit in on some of the reps coming in through demos, and they talk a lot more intensively about what's going on with boots and the tech and everything like that. But I'm going to kind of, intro into letting you guys talk and what you guys are getting stoked on. So take it away.
So I guess right here we just have snowboard boots, but it would pertain to ski boots as well, I would say that in your snowboard setup or your ski setup, your boots are probably the most important part of your whole package. You know, not your snowboard, not your bindings, but your boots. And we tell people that all the time, and I think most of our customers and people who come through here agree that if your feet aren't happy, your day is kind of shot. You know, if you're spending all your time thinking about like, oh man, my feet hurt, I gotta loosen this, I gotta tighten this, I gotta retie this, gotta all that. Yeah, it's hard to have fun on the hill if you're, you know, uncomfortable or cold or whatever. So yeah, I think a lot of your experience on the hill has to do with how good your gear is in general, and your boots are probably the most important part of that. They're really kind of the linkage to your board, I guess, the steering of your board. They're really what helps dictate how you control the board. So yeah, super important part. If I was kind of balling on a budget, and I would spend my money on my boots before I would, you know, spend a bunch of money on like the coolest snowboard out there.
Yeah.
You know, I would take my good boot that fits my foot really well, that I like, and ride it on any crappy snowboard versus the other way around, you know, versus taking like a rental boot and jumping on some nice snowboard. Definitely take your boots all day. So I guess just some of the different ones that we've got lined out here. We kind of have a good, better, best story around this little table here. This one is the Roscoe from K2.
Okay.
It's kind of your entry-level price point boot. It just comes with your basic features. Anymore, I guess, a boa closure system, this little ratchet here is becoming pretty much a stock feature on even like your entry-level boots. There are some boots out there that still use the traditional lacing, but there's just less and less of them. The consumer really wants this boa now, it seems like. So most brands are putting this boa closure even on their most entry-level boots. So that's kind of a cool upgraded feature that you get on this entry-level boot. But other than that, it's pretty much kind of a basic boot. It's got a foam sole, so it's super lightweight, but the foam's not quite as durable as some of the other stuff that you're going to see on some of the other soles. It does have a removable liner, but it's not going to have a heat moldable liner or it'll mold your foot a little bit, but it's not going to have as much heat moldable foam as some of the other liners are going to have. So kind of just your basic features on something like this.
Okay.
Even though it's kind of your entry-level snowboard boot, it's still going to perform a lot better than if you were to say to take like a Sorel or like a basic snow boot. I mean, that some people who I guess aren't super into snowboarding might be thinking like, oh, I could just take my Sorels or the boots that I wear for snow and ride them in their snowboard bindings, and that's not really going to work. These are a little bit bigger to fit in the binding, to match up with the binding, and just more supportive than a basic snow boot that you'd get at Walmart or whatever. So you do need to have snowboarding boots
unless we're back in the late 70s or
right,
the 80s, right? When it all started.
When it all started, we kind of started on subpar gear, but that's all it was back then.
So as far as price goes on, all brands are going to have, their entry boot, at the lowest price point. What's an entry level boot running usually these days?
About $230.
Okay.
Is kind of that starting point.
Okay.
So yeah, skiing and snowboarding is not a super cheap sport by any means. But like I was saying earlier, like if you're on a budget, spend your money on your boots. I would say if you're never snowboarded before and you're just getting into it, something like that is a good option for you. But if you've been doing it a little while and you're carving edge to edge and you're kind of making that progression to that next level, you're going to want to hop into a little more advanced boot, something that's going to hold you a little bit better. The faster you're going, the more aggressive that you're snowboarding.
Okay.
The stiffer, more supportive boot you're going to need. Maybe something like this. You want to talk about this one, Blake, a little bit? Blake's ridden this boot a while.
Nice.
Or a decent amount, probably.
I actually ride the Orton,
Orton.
not that particular boot, but very similar.
Basically the big brother of this boot. But this is the Masis. This is the #1 selling snowboard boot in snowboarding.
Guys, I want to talk to you about a new sponsor that we have. So, big shout out to our friends at Fine Brewed Cafe in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Whether you're gearing up for a powder day or winding down after a long ride, Fine Brewed has you covered with craft coffee, legendary mimosas, and a killer vibe. They're all about fueling adventures, connecting the community, and keeping you caffeinated for whatever the mountain throws your way. So next time you're in town in Coeur d'Alene, stop by Fine Brewed on Sherman Avenue, grab a cup, and keep chasing that stoke.
Yeah. So kind of the, as you jump up in price, starting price point there with that K2 Roscoe, there is some boots kind of in between this and that. But as you get up into like that, $350 or so price point, this is going to be a $380 boot. You're going to start getting a double BOA. So as opposed to that Roscoe where you just have the one BOA that's going to close the whole system, this boot's going to have two. This boot in particular is a little different than some of the other double BOA boots on the market, and part of the reason why it's such a popular boot is because of the outer BOA runs your closure for your liner system. So what that does is when you crank it down, it really pulls the top of your foot down and pulls your heel back into the heel pocket of the boot, really securing that heel and kind of, I wouldn't say eliminating, because I think there's always going to be some heel lift in any boot that you have, but it really does take that heel lift situation and make it a lot better, securing that heel. And then you're going to have your outer BOA that's going to close up the full system on the outside. So
Nice.
Really popular boot. It's a 7 out of 10 on the flex, so a little bit stiffer. I'm going to make it a little bit quicker, like edge to edge. I would say, anywhere from like your intermediate to advanced rider is going to have a good time on this boot, depending on, what their preferences are on stiffness. Just really high quality boot, full rubber on the soles. Yeah, definitely a good boot at that $380 price point. Probably our most popular boot over the last 10 years.
Awesome.
Here and there in the shop.
And I've noticed this, and I don't know, you guys probably know, when did, because BOA, I've had BOA in the past. Personally, I'm a laces guy, and I always have been, but I've noticed they went from the wire BOA to like the ripcord material, and that has really, I feel like that has helped within like the being more comfortable as far as a boot goes, and just kind of giving it has a little more give on the wiring system. And guys, Let's Talk Snowboarding is presented by Mountain Vibes, and Mountain Vibes was started in February 2016 by our CEO and founder Justin Desmond. With the input of close friends, Mountain Vibes officially went live November 1st of 2017, and Justin runs it with the help of Mountain Vibes co-owner Emily Sorger and our core team. When Justin created Mountain Vibes, his objective was not only to create a snowboarding company, but also a family where passion and the love of snowboarding outweighed years of experience and where judgment is not tolerated. We don't like the cool guys at Mountain Vibes. Everyone should be included in Mountain Vibes. Passion of snowboarding is what brings us all together and makes us a family. Along with creating a snowboarding family, Quality Snowboarding Apparel, we are a non-profit with an outreach program called Good Vibes and High Fives, where we take less fortunate kids out to snowboard. And I want you to check out our website, mountainvibes.com with a Z, and see what we're all about. We have everything from the charity to the apparel, and we're stoked that Mountain Vibes has presented Let's Talk Snowboarding over these last, 2 years. So thank you to Mountain Vibes. Boa.
Right. Yeah, I think the main reason that they went to it was like the actual strength of it. It's stronger. It doesn't fray as easily when you're throwing your metal edge of your snowboard up on it. So people are riding on the chairlift. You have one foot out, your back foot out, and they rest their snowboard up on that loose foot. So your snowboard edge is rubbing up on your boot. I mean, that's the number one thing don't do with your brand new snowboard boots is throw your snowboard edge up on there while you're on the chairlift. The edge wears on that metal cable. It starts to fray, and then it breaks. This lace is a lot stronger. You know, this actual, we was talking about is this actual cable is now, it's a Kevlar lace. So it's a nylon housing, but it's got little Kevlar stringers inside of it. They're made from a company called New England Ropes. They make all the paracord and stuff for the military. So it's super strong, high-end rope now that they're using in there, and it's just stronger than the cables.
And those cables also could bind up and kind of lock onto your foot. I had that happen on one of the early, like first, second generation of the BOA, and I believe that Kevlar doesn't have a tendency to bind up inside that system.
Definitely.
So, yeah, the whole BOA system is kind of an interesting story. The guy who started it was a heart surgeon, and they used a similar device to close up a chest cavity.
Okay.
When they're done with heart surgery, they have this like BOA knob, and he's like sitting there cranking up someone's chest cavity one day, and he's like, "Man, this would be cool if I could tighten my snowboard boots like this."
Okay.
And then he started BOA.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a cool fact for my wife because she's a cardiovascular OR nurse. So I'll have her listen to this episode. She'll probably know about that a little bit.
Yes. See if she can invent anything for snowboarding.
Yeah.
And she can
That'd be
retire
sweet.
from being a doctor.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So, kind of moving along, your most popular boot, the K2, and then let's just keep chugging along. What's that next boot in line right there, right in the middle?
That's that Nidecker Kita.
Okay.
New brand that we have in the shop this year.
That's cool. Yeah, Nidecker is coming strong, it seems like, over the past couple of years with their boards and their boots out. So
Yeah, I mean, really, as a company, Nidecker has purchased a lot of the other brands in the industry lately. They own, seems like half the industry probably.
okay.
Different brands, and those different brands are doing different things, but they're kind of this umbrella company that's kind of, in a way, saving a lot of these brands in the industry, because the snowboard industry is a hard place to live, to make some money and to do your thing. So Nidecker's come in and helped a lot of these brands out. But yeah, like Blake said, this is our first year carrying them with their boots. They are doing some of these new like rear entry type bindings and stuff, which we'll probably talk about maybe on the next episode, talk about some of the new binding stuff. But like this boot in particular, what makes it cool is this wrap liner versus a tongue liner.
Okay.
So it wraps around the front of the shin. A lot of ski boot liners do this. Just gives you a little bit more power out of the liner. There's not the same kind of pressure points that you can get from the tongue that some people kind of get out of a tongue, but just helps kind of there be a little bit more material wrapped around your lower leg and just kind of drive a little bit more power to the boot. Other than that, this one's kind of just your high end, kind of very sleek, lightweight top end boot. It does have a Vibram sole. Blake was talking about kind of the rubber on that Macis. I was talking about the foam on this one. Vibram is just going to be, they're a sole company that builds, high end soles for
all kinds
of boots.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
Hiking,
work boots, hiking boots.
Yep.
So yeah, they're that sole company that builds the good soles. And then this one is also a zonal boa. Blake was talking about the Macis having a double boa, the side boa here controlling that inner harness system. On this side boa, it controls your lower laces on the outside of the shell. So a guy with a wider foot, he might not want to crank this as tight and give himself a little more room through here. A guy with a narrower foot would crank that real tight. Maybe a guy with a big calf wouldn't crank this one quite as tight, but he could still get his lower foot really tight, or vice versa. A skinny foot or a skinnier calf could crank here. So yeah, just kind of dialing in which part of the shell you want to tighten up more.
Yeah. Cool camo design on the sole too, on the side. Nice.
So yeah, we're pretty excited about these ones, or this brand anyway.
Yeah. Seems like everyone's, just from the three you've shown me, like everyone kind of has a little bit different design to where they're saying, oh, look at this cool thing that we're putting on the boot, and this is like one of one. Because I've never seen that K2 that you guys showed me where it's like it doesn't even have like an interlacing system.
Right.
The outer lacing just all comes in, and then this with the side, the side entry almost into the liners. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yep. Everyone's doing it a little different for sure. I mean, you can even like see on the shell of this one, it's cut asymmetrically, where the outside of the shell is cut taller than the inside of the shell. Just to kind of, match up with the way that your leg is shaped. I guess one thing we should talk about is footbeds. Blake, you want to talk about footbeds and what?
Yeah, I was going to ask about that for sure.
What we get in a boot?
I mean, yeah, sure. Really, the story with
start there
footbeds with ski and snowboard
$600
footbeds is going to be that they're just garbage. And you should get another one. Unfortunately, you can definitely ride it. It's going to work, but I would highly recommend anybody to get some sort of aftermarket footbed in your boot, because really what you're going to get in here is just a little piece of cardboard. And as we were talking about earlier, foot comfort is kind of your number one thing.
Almost like with anything, right? Like if you're going to we're on our feet, if you're snowboarding all day, you're going to be on your feet for most of the day, unless you're riding the chair or sitting down for lunch or something.
Right.
It's just like if you're working or, doing anything on your feet all day, most people are going to go get that, a better sole, better footbed for their shoes. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll get this one out.
I mean, I had to replace mine because I have high arches. And so I went and found some high arch, footbeds for my boots, and that did a world of difference. So
yeah. I mean, K2 probably does better than some of the other ones with what looks like a little bit of padding. But if you pull this thing out and really give it a squeeze, it's not doing much for you. It's got essentially zero support, and obviously it's not matched up to your actual foot. So like you said, everybody's foot's a little bit different, so getting an aftermarket footbed that actually matches the arch of your foot, has the desired comfort, is huge. This is a $500 boot, and still comes with, essentially a $5 little kind of drop in. So,
right. And even like I have Adidas boots, and they're a footwear company, but the footbed that they had in there was just paper thin, nothing. So yeah. And you guys sell footbeds here at the shack, right?
Yeah, we sell a couple different brands of footbed so that we can match those different arch heights. We have some brands that offer 3 different arch heights. We have thicker ones that are meant to fill up some volume. Maybe your boot is a little bit too big. Throw that thicker one in there to fill up a little bit of volume. That's not necessarily recommended. We want to get that boot to fit as small as possible. But we also have thinner ones that you can throw that stock one away, put a thinner one in there, allowing you to get into even a tighter fitting boot, which in turn allows you to control your board or skis quicker, more efficiently.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So to the listeners, get
Footbeds are huge.
Get custom footbeds.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't even have to be custom.
Yeah.
Because such thing as a custom footbed where, and we don't do this here in the store. But you can get, customs that are built for your arch and all that type of thing, like from a foot doctor or somebody like that can do that. Some different foot or shoe stores and stuff will do that. But what we have is a variety of different type of drop-ins that are better than the stock ones, maybe not quite as good as a full-on custom one. But I'd be careful with the custom ones too, because
you never know if they'll fit in the boot.
Right. I've had guys like come in with their, $400 custom footbeds that they had some doctor make them. And they put them in their ski boot and it cracks because it's made out of some sort of almost like a plaster or something that they cast it in. And then the vibration from their ski boot actually cracks their $400 footbed and breaks it in half. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you have some insane, expensive one, you don't want to, for one, put it in a boot oven and overheat it and melt it or something. And just be careful that, there's a lot of vibration that happens, especially in a plastic ski boot, that could potentially break one of those stiff, expensive footbeds.
Yeah. I was going to ask you guys, because I've had this issue a little bit. It's better now since I've kind of gotten my boots dialed and stuff, but I don't know if it's just part of it. I don't feel like my feet hurt, but they do, when I'm riding and stuff, they'll fall asleep, can't feel my feet.
Yeah.
Is that because I kind of have always had that since I started snowboarding? Is that normal, or is it something where I kind of maybe should look at getting a different, trying to look into a different boot or something like that?
Yeah, I would say it's not normal.
Okay.
Well, no, I would say it's normal because it happens to a lot of people, but it doesn't have to happen. You can probably find a combination of boot and footbed and potentially binding, because it could be your binding.
Okay.
You should be able to find something that doesn't make your foot fall asleep. What's happening, just like your hand, your foot has all your veins and nerve endings running across the top of your foot. Mm-hmm. So you over smash that instep, that top of the foot, with a boot that doesn't fit, or the binding that's crushing down on that spot. That's when you're usually going to start going numb. You're smashing some nerves, and or cutting off circulation on the top of your foot. But yeah, there's things we can do if that's an issue that somebody's having. We do have boot fitters here that can help alleviate those types of things. So keep that in mind if you're out there and you have boots and they're almost fit, but there's a little something wrong. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can take care of that stuff. I guess first thing is get you on a better footbed. That'd probably be the first spot we'd go. Then from there we can lower that footbed, give you some more space in there by grinding some of that footbed away from the bottom. We can remove some foam from the tongue of your liner. We can heat mold your liners. Sounds like yours have been ridden a lot, so probably wouldn't heat mold them, but there's different things we can do to try to open up some more space or give you some more space inside the boot.
Cool. Nice. That's not something that it's the first time hearing that, so that's a cool service you guys offer here. Very cool.
Yep. And there's more we can do with a ski boot than there is we can do with a snowboard boot.
Sure.
Because the ski boots are plastic, so we can heat them up and stretch them, and they hold that stretch. But there are some tricks and things we can do with snowboard boots to make them fit better.
Josh, do you ever notice that when you buy tickets for a show, you get hit with all these hidden fees?
Yeah, for sure. I'm tired of being gouged with hidden fees.
Dude, I just discovered this, but now whenever I purchase tickets, I try to search for venues and artists that use Ticket Goat.
What's Ticket Goat?
Ticket Goat is the greatest ticketing software of all time. With Ticket Goat, promoters can expect hassle-free setup, zero obligations, and a revolutionary $1 ticketing fee for event attendees.
So we can say so long to hidden fees?
Dude, 100% zero hidden fees. With Ticket Goat, steep ticketing fees are a thing of the past. Ticket Goat's revolutionary ticketing software allows owners to create custom ticketing options, access to event reporting, and a digital QR codes for mobile ticket scanning, all with no commitments and transparent pricing.
Sick. That means event owners can keep their profits and ticket buyers can purchase tickets without being gouged.
Definitely. If you are in charge of ticket sales and want a fast and easy way to sell tickets, go to www.ticketgoat.com and join the herd today.
Sick.
I do think that with, we talked about the BOA on the boots, super great feature, but I do think it's easy for people to over tighten them as well, especially on like those double BOAs, the zonal, where you're going to have that lower. I mean, it sounds really like, well, duh, don't, over tighten it. But, for the longest time, I was always, tighter is better, tighter is better, tighter is better.
Yeah.
I think a lot of snowboarders have that in their head, but
Sure.
there is a right spot where you don't want to go any tighter. And I had kind of an aha moment maybe 3 years ago where I was just riding with one of my buddies on the lift and he says, well, you can loosen it. It doesn't need to, you don't need to crank it until it's completely smashing your foot. Give your foot enough room to like naturally, kind of spread out as it's, in that boot. But yeah, kind of finding that, that sweet spot can help too. Not saying that that's, your particular issue, but yeah, I think sometimes we go for that ultimate tightness and it's a detriment in the end sometimes.
Sometimes it almost seems like the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 runs, it's pretty bad, but then as soon as I don't know, like get warmed up or something like that, it just goes away and get into a flow and I don't know.
I have a similar kind of like issue with my foot where the first 2 runs I'm like, man, this is harder than I remember it being 2 days ago. And then it kind of warms up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but your liners are going to break in too, and that's probably a little bit of what you're feeling, like that EVA foam in the liner is going to start to soften up as it gets warm.
Yeah.
So as your foot's been in there for 2 or 3 runs, now it's warming up that liner, and it's going to feel more comfortable, more cush. For people that are having like serious issues with that, like, man, this is just like killing my foot. My first few runs are like killing me. A boot dryer or a boot heater for your car. We sell them here for maybe $100 or something, but yeah, something that you can plug in your car and then throw into your boots. That's warming your boots up while you're on the way up to the mountain.
Oh.
That's going to be like 100% easier to slip them on.
Yeah.
It's going to be way easier to get on. And then you're not going to fight that like, my feet kind of hurt. Less likely to fight that pain for the beginning of the day. So warming those bad boys up. So, and, you see some guys, they're like pulling them out of the bed of their truck on a blizzard day, dude, and trying to put their feet in them out the hill. You're like, dude, what are you doing?
There's
you put
no
your
way.
foot into a frozen boot.
That's not going to feel good.
So obviously that's the extreme end of it. But even if they're just like, they were in your garage maybe all night, and then they just got thrown in the back of your, SUV, they're still pretty darn cold by the time you're trying to get those things on. So warm that liner up best you can. It's going to help those first few runs for sure.
Yeah, I have a wall plug-in, boot heater, and so I leave them on there, right before I go to bed. Yep, and then take them off, and then they're usually in the passenger front seat with me, right next to the
Right.
feet,
Right.
and keeping them warm and stuff, and that's helped a lot too. So
Yeah.
little hacks.
Yeah, a
here
little
and
pro
Pro
tip
tips,
for
yeah.
for the guys that are just getting into it.
Yeah.
That helps. And again, ski boots even more so than snowboard boots because they're plastic and they're like a death vice to get on, and they're no fun.
Most definitely, dude. Well, sweet. So I think like our next boot in line right there, that's going to be a step-on boot right there, and we all know that the step-on technology and craze is evident, and
Right.
and a lot of people are into it. You know, it's very user friendly for somebody getting into snowboarding, and especially if you know you may have like a previous injury or something where it's hard for you to bend down, strap in and stuff. So yeah, let's talk about step on.
Yeah. Blake, you've ridden step on and all these new rear entry binding systems. I personally haven't ridden any of it yet, so I can see like the ease and convenience of it, but yeah, why don't you give us your thoughts on it, Blake?
Well, yeah, I think we were talking about maybe talking actual going into the bindings maybe at a later date. We're still waiting on one of the rear entry bindings that we'll be carrying. But yeah, there's kind of the, step-on wars or convenience binding thing going on right now. So step-on is from Burton. They came out with that. This is the fourth year, I think.
Closer
Fifth
to
year?
like 6 years now.
Jeez. God, time goes by fast.
Yeah.
They've been doing it a long time. It's been in the works for like 10 years because they had it going. They had their R&D guys and pro guys like testing it for a good 5 years before they even like sent it out on market. So it's like a decade in the running at least.
Yeah. So yeah, they, Burton, they don't put anything out on the market that they don't, really make sure is gonna be a usable product. So obviously they did all their R&D, got it on the market, and it's been super popular. I've ridden it a couple times, and it actually performs really well. I mean, I was, a little bit hesitant when I, first stepped into it because you're looking down at your feet. You don't have any straps. It just looks like your snowboard's kind of floating on the bottom of your feet, especially going up on the chairlift. And once I stepped into it and actually like decided to trust the system and, that my feet weren't just going to fall out of there, I really didn't notice a lot of performance difference. I mean, there was a sacrifice of performance. I did feel like not as quick, like, edge to edge. But, that's what you're going to get when you're going for convenience, ease of entry, but not to the point where I didn't feel like I could just absolutely like rip as hard as I wanted to. It felt good. It's a solid system. The one thing I would say with Step On, especially now that they've kind of partnered up with some other companies, this is actually a Nitro boot. Nitro's been doing Step On boots for a couple years, and they're actually doing a step-on binding with Burton this year. So you're going to see a kind of a broadening ecosystem of like step-on products.
Sure.
Which I think is huge because the boot, as we talked about earlier, is kind of your big, most important part. I think even more so if you're going to go into a step-on, you want something that's really going to be that right fit for your foot because you don't have straps to kind of get your little extra, pull back into the binding. So it's really cool now that we've got Nitro, we've got Burton, Union is making a step-on binding. I don't know if they're doing a step-on boot yet.
Not yet, but probably in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
And then an alternative, I guess, is a new technology, a little bit different, but 32 has their step in almost. Have you guys seen that one where
Right,
kind of
the phase bindings.
the phase? Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a whole. I mean, we're not talking bindings yet, but that's kind of
Yep.
an interesting thing that's going to be going on.
Yeah, once we'll have that other binding. The Supermatic is the name of it. Even has a cool name. But yeah, like Blake was saying, there's kind of this step in, step on, step from behind, like battle that's gonna be kind of coming on. Without getting like too far into it, I think convenience-wise, like Blake's saying, if you want the easiest thing to get on your foot and like get out snowboarding, like off the lift, keep up with your skier friends, the step-on is going to be the quickest and probably easiest, just to snap and go.
100%, in my opinion.
Some of those other ones, once you have them on, you might be able to make the argument that they are a little more high performing. Mm-hmm. They can strap down like a regular binding. I have ridden some of the other ones. They're cool for what they are. But yeah, I think, next week or something, we'll have them all broke down and we can show you kind of the differences between them all and kind of the good and the bad, that we feel between all the different systems. But yeah, the Burton step-on one is kind of what started this war, if you will, was Burton coming out with this new step-on system 6, 7, 8 years ago now. Kind of made these other brands say, oh man, we need to get a little piece of that pie and make it easier to get our bindings on, or kind of making a new category within snowboarding.
Okay. And as far as the boot goes, on a step-on, is it is like the actual tightening of the boot have anything to do with like getting into the binding, or is it completely just set? Okay.
No. So everything that's going to connect you to your binding is external on the boot, and has no, the tightening system isn't going to affect it. What you do need to make sure you do, well, with any binding, they're going to be sizing, but there's small, medium, large. You need to match up your boot with the size binding that you need.
Sure.
But as far as like tightness or anything, it's just step on, go. You don't got to worry about adjusting anything in the binding, or the connection system.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Guys, I want to talk about a new sponsor for Let's Talk Snowboarding, which is the Ski Shack in Hayden, Idaho. Ski Shack is a local family-owned and operated ski and snowboard shop located in Hayden, Idaho. They specialize in sales, rental, and repair, and they opened in 1976. That's going on 50 years up here in North Idaho. They have been offering a skiing and snowboarding to North Idaho and beyond for that much time, which is crazy. One of the oldest ski shops in the entire state. We appreciate everyone at the Ski Shop for supporting Let's Talk Snowboarding. So go in there as soon as possible and get yourself dialed, whether it be getting a fresh tune-up for your board or skis or grabbing some new gear, because they got all the best in outerwear and also in boots and bindings, boards and skis. So head on over to Ski Shack, located at 9437 North Government Way in Hayden, Idaho, and have some fun picking out some cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's solid. There is some, there's been some issues where things break, but that's with any product, things are going to break,
Yeah.
But I haven't heard or seen any like just full on like explosions
Like,
where people's
catastrophic failures.
Yeah.
No, way less than
You might want to think that
I would have thought. Yeah, like when it first came out, I guess back out. This is the second launch of step-ons or step-ins or clickers. Probably everybody remembers those clickers.
Man, I was just about to mention that. The first time I ever snowboarded, it was the metal hook on the bottom of the boot,
Right.
and click onto the disc. Like,
Exactly.
I was like, what is this?
Yep. So this is kind of the whole resurgence of what was from the 90s. I guess the whole reason that it's back is, I guess the cameras can't see some of these old strap bindings that we had in the 80s. Plastic wasn't that great back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have snowboard boots back then yet. Like you were mentioning earlier, we were just wearing our Sorels. So the snowboard binding was a piece of plastic that wrapped around your Sorel or regular boot or shoes or whatever to lock you on the board. But the plastic wasn't very good back then, so especially in the cold weather. So they would break all the time. So these companies like K2, I'm not sure who was the first to do it, Burton or K2 or somebody back then, started going to these bike companies, like Shimano was the big one, Shimano built for K2 the K2 clicker, which had all these like working bike parts to them to actually step it in. So it was awesome because it would step in quick, easy. You were locked in, but they were heavy because there were so many working metal parts and things like that. So then they were kind of all the craze for a handful of years. Everybody wanted some version of a step-on or clicker back then. Then the plastics got better and kind of rolled back to the strap bindings because the plastic was now strong enough where it wasn't going to break. Mm-hmm. And they were way lighter weight than the old clickers were. So we went back to straps. And now the plastics got even strong enough to where they can make the step-ons with plastic. You know, obviously the metal was what was making it super heavy, why we didn't like it back then because it was too heavy, but now they make everything with plastic. So now we're on our second version of stepping in.
Nice. Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how the evolution goes.
Right, and it's all
things
just
come back and
the material, really. It's
Yeah.
plastic getting better.
My wife says it all the time. She sees like some of these like styles that like the youth are wearing these days. She's like,
Right.
"Oh, it's back to like the early
Right.
90s." And it's
Right.
crazy. So, yeah, very cool, very cool. So yeah, we kind of covered almost everything. Just a couple like questions before we close out. So Blake, what boot are you running again?
I'm on the K2 Orton, which
Okay.
would be kind of the big brother to that Mayus is. A little bit stiffer in the flex, but that's
Nice.
what I'm in.
And that's a
this year.
double BOA system.
It is, yep, double boa system
Very cool.
on that guy. Yeah.
How about you, Rhen?
I mostly run the K2 Masis, which
Okay.
is that double boa one that we were looking at earlier. It just fits my foot good. I don't need like the crazy $500 insane boot. So yeah, that's been my go-to the last handful of years.
Yep. I've had my Adidas Sambas for, I think, 5 seasons now. I've had a pair of Adidas
Yeah.
Sambas.
Yep, they make a good boot.
And yeah, but they no longer.
Or they did.
Yeah, they did. Just kind of like Nikes were the thing back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully one day they'll bring it back because I always kind of preferred those boots over anything else. So,
Right.
But it might be time to start looking around and.
We got some.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start trying on boots here, and maybe coming up next season. But my Sambas are still in good condition, so we'll see. Well, cool guys. Thank you again.
Yeah,
for
of course.
your time and the early morning chat, and so close it out. I want to thank all of our sponsors: Mountain Vibes, Ski Shack, Fine Brood, Ticket Goat, Hagedon Technologies, for the studio that we use downtown for certain interviews. But we will be back here at the Ski Shack in the coming weeks doing more gear talk and doing more episodes. So thanks again, guys, and hope you have a good day.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan.
Cool.
All
Thanks,
right,
man.
sweet.